Hello, my friends. It's Andy coming to you live from Orange County, California. And this is going to be an introduction to a show that we'll be doing in regard to the Andy Falco show, just like an extension. You know, much like some of the people on some of your favorite channels, such as Fox or Newsmax or some of the others that I can't think of right now, where they have their regular show and then there's an extension show or a show that is based on one subject matter. And in this case, it's going to be making law enforcement great again. I feel that there is a huge need to set the to get the story straight on what is really involved in policing, what is involved in making sure that our cities are safe. And we have, unfortunately, an incredible number of people that have no clue what it is they're talking about, making decisions in regard to law and order and the safety of you in your home and your children, in particular when they're sleeping or when you are just trying to enjoy dinner in a very busy city. And so I've been thinking about this for a very long time. So this is just simply an introduction. I'm going to tell you what we're going to be doing over the next couple of weeks. About once a week, maybe twice a week, I'm going to come up live on the social media platforms, on Facebook, on YouTube, and Twitter, and Twitch. I just got to figure out which Facebook page I don't want to broadcast on. And I want to bring you to some information, some things that you really need to know when you're making decisions. Now, I know I've been rough on the Democrats a lot lately. For the last couple of years, I've been very rough on them. And I was posed this question earlier, and because I have some family members and some neighbors and friends who are Democrats who have either approached me via social media or private message or texting and said, you know, you really offend me when you go on there and you talk about how stupid I am or how stupid the party is or how stupid liberals are. And, you know, I don't think you really mean that. No, I do. And so, so I was asked today, do you really think that Democrats are stupid? And here's, I'm going to try to narrow this down in a very short period of time, because the answer is not a simple one. Now, it was funny because I had about 10 people watching, and now I have, all of a sudden I lost a bunch. So there must have been a few liberals or Democrats that were watching. And again, I use them. When I talk about a Democrat, I am talking about liberals. I am talking about Black Lives Matter. I am talking about Antifa. All of them are Democrats in my mind. And I know that some of you will say, well, I'm a Democrat, but I'm not liberal, or I'm not. And I hear these things and I go, well, then why are you, why did you vote for Biden? Why did you vote for Newsom? Or why did you vote for whoever it is in your Democratic Party? If you're not liberal or Democrat, why are you voting for these people? And so back to the question is, do I think Democrats are stupid? And the answer being yes on the simple answer. Now, that's a blanket answer, I understand, but there are some Democrats that are extremely smart. I would think that many people would think that Hitler actually was very smart. I think people would think that there are a couple other people. Karl Marx was very smart, and we could go. Stalin was very smart. When you're looking at the tyrants, the socialists, the communist leaders, they're very intelligent people. Their ideology, their ideas, their what it is that they wanted for themselves is where they were extremely smart in how they got what it is that they wanted. They were able to convince a large number of useful idiots into following this ideology that they were spouting and creating. Now, again, I don't want this to go very long. I just want this to be an introduction, but I think it's important to understand where it is I'm coming from as we move forward in trying to make law enforcement great again, is that you have to understand the people that we're working against. And these are the people that are either extremely smart and know exactly what they're doing. They're trying to gain power. They are getting elected into positions where they are either benefiting financially or through stature their Marxist or their socialist or their communist ideals and benefiting from it. So those are the people that are probably your smarter aspect of a liberal or Democrat or whatever name you want to give it. And so it is difficult to say there's, just a blanket statement that they're stupid. Now, the problem is you have people that vote for these people and they begin to fall for what it is they're doing. And so when you really look at the entire package, and that's what you have to look at. I could bring up something, and I have, and said, well, let's look what's happening at the border, that they believe in open borders. Well, that could all be that video that you're seeing of all the migrants coming across the border, the thousands and tens of thousands of them underneath an overpass. That could all be a video that is doctored, and it could. I guess people used to think that when we landed on the moon that was a doctored video, and so it's possible. The children that are being held in those holding pens, that could all be doctored. Yes, it could be doctored. The drone footage that you see, or the phone footage from congressmen, or the phone footage you're seeing from a farmer who is taking video of all the people coming across the border through his property, tearing down his fences and damaging whatever it is that they are trampling over as they come over the border. That all could be made up, but there's such a large amount of that video coming out. And there's so many people that are coming out, and including Border Patrol agents who are whistleblowers saying, well, this is out of control. We cannot keep up. They are pulling people off the Canadian border to go down to the southern border to just process people, not to stop people from coming in, but to process people, to help them come in, to load them on the buses, and then drive the buses of these full buses into the interior of the United States of America. So you have a whole bunch of things. Now, surely, could it be made up? Sure. But there is so much information, not just coming out of Fox News. Now, I've been accused of just following Fox News. I have a love-hate relationship with Fox News. I have a love-hate relationship with the Republican Party. I have a love-hate relationship with a number of people that pretend to be conservatives or pretend to care about this country and then go and screw the country on another issue, right? They pretend that they're conservative Christians and they say, I'm against abortion, but then they're willing to vote against our gun rights, or they're willing to vote against freedom of speech, or they're willing to vote against some other aspect, some $1 trillion infrastructure bill that has very little to do with infrastructure and has a whole lot to do with a bunch of other crap that we don't need. So if you focus on just one issue, surely you could say, well, maybe the border video and information is made up or doctored. Well, then let's look at this. So as a Democratic Party, they believe in open borders. We know they do because, again, we can see what's happening. But let's just get rid of that. All right. Well, they do believe in late-term abortion because we know that they go crazy when you try to go to a pro-life. If we try to push a pro-life agenda, they go crazy and say, no, we want pro-choice. And we want late-term abortion. So again, so now we have two. Well, let's just say that we can bend. To say that you are a person who's not necessarily religious, or you don't care whether they kill babies in their 9th month, and that doesn't bother you, that people should have a choice to kill a baby as the woman's giving birth, and they can decide, you know what, I decided I don't want the baby, and then they terminate that child's life. Let's say that you're okay with that. All right, so let's go to critical race theory. You got critical. We're not pushing critical race theory. We're pushing some other agenda. But we still want to teach your children that they're either racist or they are oppressed, or they're oppressors, or they are what have you, right? And so you want to control people by their color as opposed to just simply teach children how to read, write, do arithmetic, our U.S. history as it really exists, and that kind of thing, 1776 and that kind of thing. And so then you can say, well, you know what? They say they're not trying to teach our children critical race theory. Okay, let's just say that the border stuff is made up. Let's just say that you don't care about whether children are killed or not in their 9th month. And let's just say that you believe the lie that they're not trying to teach critical race theory in our schools. Okay. Well, how about defunding and dismantling law enforcement? Now, we surely have enough people, including President Biden, who said that he was more than willing to take funds and put them somewhere else. He didn't say defund, but he did say that he was going to take the funds and redistribute them somewhere else, which in my form of English, my understanding, that means defunding or moving funds that are meant for law enforcement and putting them somewhere else. So this is where I want to end on this, because we could go on with this charade to pretend that that the voters for Democrats are smart, that they somehow are so smart that they don't see what's happening at the border, that they're so smart that they don't see what's happening in our schools, that they are so smart that they don't care whether you kill a baby at the 9th month of pregnancy, that you don't care about anything else. But let's just focus on law enforcement, and that's where I want this show to go forward, and that is to look at. Yes, I'm going to talk about the shirt in just one second, Carol. And I thank you so much for saying I love the shirt, by the way. But let's just talk about law enforcement, about the one thing that the government is responsible for, and that is taking care of the citizens, the American citizens, not Ukrainian citizens, not Mexican citizens, not Syrian citizens as they come across the southern border illegally. That is not the responsibility of government. The responsibility of government is to take care and to safeguard the lives of the people that within the borders of the United States of America. That one of their responsibilities is to maintain a sense of safety through a strong military and a strong law enforcement presence. So the one thing we know for sure, and we've heard them say it, we've heard AOC, we've heard Cori Bush, we've heard a number of other Democratic leaders, congresspeople, senators, including the president, say they want to dismantle or defund. Now, they've said it in many different ways. They may have not said it directly, unlike Cori Bush, who came right out and said, I'm going to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars on my personal security because my life matters, but I'm not willing to spend any money on law enforcement for you. She did say that. She just said that the other day. So when I talk about how the voters, Democratic voters, are morons and idiots, it is because they continue to vote for these people. They voted for people who don't care about your safety. Now, again, you can say, well, Andy, I think that the video of the border is made up. You can say that, you know what, I don't care about babies either. And so let the Democrats have that issue where we kill babies at night. And so we can go on down the line. But the one thing I know for sure is that whether you have children or not, that your safety, the property that you own is precious. And that without law enforcement, you will at some point be the victim of a crime, whether it's personally or your children, or in regard to the theft of a car, that kind of thing. I just had the personal experience of going to San Francisco, a very Democratic-run city in a very Democratic-run state, and had the pleasure of sitting and eating breakfast while a woman pulled up her miniskirt and took a dump there on the sidewalk, right in front of us, my wife and I, and then wiped her private area with her bare hands and flung it as if it was just to get it off of her hands. And we've heard about this, right? And so you cannot say that it's okay not to have law enforcement because of criminals have rights too, or it's okay because this person is hurting, or this person has some issues, so let's just let them crap all over our city. I was a police officer for several years, okay? And this is where it all starts. Now, if you want to say, you know what, this person has problems, they have mental health issues, maybe they're on drugs, let's just let them crap all over our city. I live in the city of Brea, Yorba Linda area, and the other day I was driving through a parking lot where there is a Target. They had 3 patrol cars surrounding a vehicle in the parking lot of Target, and they had 2 people prone on the ground, and they were removing Target merchandise out of the back of a patrol car. I took a picture of it. I should have put it on here. I'll use it next time. And in the city of Brea, they have decided that you are not going to tolerate petty theft. Where in San Francisco, let me go back to San Francisco, they tolerate petty theft. They will not arrest somebody. They will allow people to go into a CVS, into a Target, into a you name the store, and take, in Los Angeles, this is occurring too, and take whatever merchandise they want and not prosecute. They won't arrest. This is the same type of crime as a person crapping on the sidewalk, where I hope you begin to see what it is, where it is I'm going to go here, is that when you begin to not enforce defecating on the sidewalk, where you begin to not defecating, trespassing, or sleeping, camping on the sidewalk in a city sidewalk, to not enforcing petty theft, to not enforcing auto burglaries, to not enforcing all the other little crimes that may be occurring in the city. When you begin to not enforce those because you're so concerned about the suspect and do not care about the victim, this begins to build a huge problem. Now, this is only one aspect that I want to visit here. But what we find now is the Democratic Party being run by the president, the vice president, the senators, the Congress people, the city council members, the mayors, all the way down to the school board members, is that they care more about suspects' rights than they care about victims' rights. They care more about suspects' rights than they care about American citizens' rights, about being taken care of and being feeling safe within the communities in which they live. And so as I move forward in discussing making law enforcement great again, is that I want to come back to a place of common sense. And I'm hoping along the way that I will be able to share with you some things that happen in law enforcement that are very important to understand as we move forward. And I want you to understand that it's important that people that understand how to conduct a law enforcement activity, how to conduct a search warrant, how to conduct an investigation, how to conduct patrol, how to maintain a canine program so that it is effective in regard to detection, in regard to patrol work, or a SWAT team and that kind of stuff. I want you all to understand as I move forward that what's important to know, because I think there's a little bit of an issue of maybe people have been watching too much TV and they think that somebody just wakes up in the morning and they handle one case and they can either choose to be heavy-handed or unreasonable or make crap up and solve a crime. That is not the way real life law enforcement works. And so I think many people in the Democratic Party, and in some cases the Republican Party, don't have a full understanding of what it really means to work in law enforcement and everything that needs to be understood as a patrolman goes out and does his job, as he completes a report and turns it in, and the detective takes over and begins to do their job, as the detective begins to finish his investigation involving a lot of different details within the police department, including ID techs, including report writers, including records, including evidence, including and then you go into the city attorney and the district attorney, and so on and so forth is what I was looking for. As you begin to understand that there is a lot of things that have to happen in regard to arresting somebody and then following through and then actually getting conviction in crime, there's a lot of things that have to happen. And I want to take you through these things, and I'm going to do them in little parts. And I think it's important to do them in little parts because I know that at times I can go on for hours with some subjects and go on and on and on, and then cause you to kind of gloss over. And so I want to address these things in little particles, little pieces, and help you understand what it is that you need to understand as you begin to vote for people that understand that it's important to allow law enforcement to be law enforcement, to allow experts within the law enforcement to make sure that they're applying tactics and law and procedure and all the different details that need to be, that people that know how to do that, allow them to do that job. Don't allow somebody like AOC who can barely make a drink in the bar, make police policy. That makes no sense. It makes no sense to have somebody like Cori Bush, who, for as far as I understand, was just merely a person who makes a lot of noise, who's now making determinations whether a city should have a police department. This is really something that we really need to look at. That this is the reason why I think Democrats are stupid, is because they're voting for people. It would be like voting for somebody who's never cooked a day in their life to be in charge of all restaurants in the United States on how it is they cook and the responsibility in understanding what should be on a menu, right? The restaurant czar, and you're going to make somebody who's never cooked and put them in charge of restaurants. And that's about as simple as I can put it. I want to acknowledge right here, Carol Texas, who sent me the shirt that I'm wearing right now. And I'm going to show you what it says on the front here. Oh, where'd it go? There it is. And so on the front, I'm going to bring up the thing, which says, rebellion to tyrants is obedience to God. Rebellion to tyrants is obedience to God. That's what it says on the front of my shirt here. And then on the back, what I love, it says on the back, it says, when the Lord sent Moses to face Pharaoh, saying, let my people go, it was not a request, it was a command from the Lord to tell Pharaoh to let his people go. Oh, that is so awesome. And so this is the shirt that Carol sent me. I'm going to try to find the link, and I probably got a link or a brochure. I know I got some stuff along with the t-shirt. I haven't even looked at that yet. I just put the shirt on for the show. But Carol, thank you so much. I have some great viewers. I've gotten things like knives and some other shirts and some other things sent to me. And so I'm so appreciative of these things that get sent to me. I hope you enjoyed my intro. I'm going to play it as my outro. But this is what we're going to be talking about. We're going to be talking about making law enforcement great again. And so please make sure and subscribe and tune in and like and all that kind of stuff. I would really appreciate it. And we're going to take it step by step. What's important to know about law enforcement, I think this has gotten lost, that it is more complicated than I think people think. It's a really strange thing, right? That you, again, we're going to talk more about this stuff, but you have somebody that knows nothing about law enforcement going in, and say a mayor, right? We have, you have mayors that have no clue. You have city council members that have never been in law enforcement, and they're saying, you know what? I don't want you chasing people anymore, and we don't want you using the carotid restraints, and we don't want you to use any type of force like a taser or a striking device. We don't want you to actually put hands on people anymore when you arrest them, but we want you to go out there and do your job. Right. And so you have people going out there and saying, all right, you cannot use any tools to arrest anybody. But yet we want you to enforce the laws. Well, wait a minute, but we don't want you to enforce misdemeanors. We don't want you to enforce petty theft. We don't want you to enforce auto burglaries. We don't want you to enforce auto theft. And again, we don't want you to chase anybody when it comes to finding a bad guy. If you ever find a bad guy and they run, don't chase them. But we want you to keep us safe at the same time. Oh, and by the way, I'm going to put you on my security team. When you're on my security team, I want you to make sure that I don't die. And whatever that takes, shoot somebody, chase somebody, hit somebody, just don't let me die. Do you see the problem with somebody like Corey Bush saying, I have security detail. I spend hundreds of thousands of dollars on an armed security detail, and I direct them to keep me alive, whatever means that means, whatever it takes to keep me alive, I want you to do it. But I want you also, at the same time, not enforce any of the laws for my constituents. You cannot chase people. I don't want you even having guns, and I don't want you to even harm anybody. And by the way, I want the criminal to have more rights than you do as a law enforcement officer. And if you do anything wrong, law enforcement officer, I'm going to have you arrested, and we're going to prosecute you and put you in jail. But go out there and have a good time. All right. So we're going to be talking about why that makes little to no sense and why it is that I think Democrats are idiots. All right. And so we're going to move forward with that premise. All right. So make sure and like and share and tell all your friends. Make sure and comment too. I don't have a banner here that goes across the screen to comment. Please comment. Let me know that you're watching. Make sure and let me know that that, what your thoughts are, what it is you think that we're doing here. But this series that I'm going to put on Making Law Enforcement Great Again, I think is an important one to make sure you understand what it is we need to understand. Carl Whitney says, hey, you count me in if you want my take on things, coming to you live from the COVID hospital floor here in Orange. Carl has COVID right now. COVID, Carl. We're praying for you. You are going to be just fine. As I told you in a comment, if I can make it through COVID in the hospital, I was in Anaheim's Kaiser for a week and got all the great treatment there and all the stuff, and they brought me back to life. And but Carl, you're obviously way younger and more healthy than I am. You're going to be just fine. And the great news is you'll have the antibodies, and you won't need to worry about ever getting it again. All right, Carl, we're praying for you, and give my love to your family and your wife. And we're thinking about you every day. All right, my friends, and thank you. I appreciate you being there, and we'll probably be bringing you on at some point to discuss that. All right, my friends, love you guys. Take care, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care. Bye.